All right, we are live. Welcome back to my channel, guys. It's been a long time since I've done a live stream. I am out here in Clearwater Beach, parked in my wonderful Trump car. And today I'm joined by Pastor Craig Hagin. Pastor Craig, we've been trying to get on for a couple months now. I think last October we had a plan. So it's good to finally have you on my channel. Nice to meet you.
It's good to be here, man. I wish I was with you at Clearwater Beach. That sounds more fun than sitting here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Come on down whenever you want. You're more than welcome.
Are you from that area, Tampa area?
No, I'm from New York City.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So you
Yeah.
just vacation or hanging
No,
out?
I moved down here when the pandemic started. I went
Okay,
back and forth between Mexico and Florida. So I ended
yeah,
up in Tampa.
it's a nice place.
Yeah. I like it because it's access to the beach, you know?
Yeah, yeah. We have no access to the beach in Oklahoma.
That's why you got to come on down to good old free Florida.
I love Florida, and
Me
so
too.
I've actually thought about it at one point in time. I almost pulled the string on buying a condo in Miami area, and I wished I would have. When I looked at it, it was like $125,000 or 150, something like that. And a few years later, they're going for almost $1 million.
That's crazy.
That was back
Well,
in the 90s.
as a side note, Pastor Craig, I am a real estate agent down here in Florida. So if you're ever looking for property, I could be your agent. All right.
All right, man.
Awesome. So Pastor Craig, if you could introduce yourself to my audience, tell us about who you are and what you're all about.
All right. My name is Pastor Craig Hagin. I'm a third generation minister. My grandfather is known as Kenneth Hagin, is known as the father of the modern day faith movement. I'm associate pastor with my dad at Rhema Bible Church here in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. We also have America's premier Bible school, Rhema Bible Training College. That's rbtc.org, with campuses all here in Tulsa and then all over the world, 290 campuses on 54 nations, I believe. We've graduated almost 117,000 Rhema students, going around the world preaching the gospel. And I'm very involved in the political scene, mainly because I wasn't involved until, I would pray at political rallies and things like that. But the 2020 election changed a whole lot of stuff for me. Mainly it's my wife. My wife was like, we're in the middle of the night watching Joe Biden mysteriously get these votes somehow, some way. And my wife looked at me and says, "Craig, you have to do something." I'm like, "What am I going to do?" And so I got involved, became the local precinct chairman, got involved in Oklahoma GOP party, then got involved nationally. Um, it was our church who hosted the very first Reawaken America tour.
Nice.
Got hooked up with Clay Clark, General
Yep.
Flynn, Mike Lindell, Roger Stone, become a really good friend. Started a super PAC called Preserve Our Rights, preserveusa.org. If you want to check that out, trying to help men and women um, seek political office. And I'm pretty involved on the political scene. Co-founder Pastors for Trump, the organization myself and Jackson Lawmeyer started. And, obviously, the great thing about being co-founder of Pastors for Trump is, people, if I can, all I have to say is I'm co-founder of Pastors for Trump. I don't have to tell you who to vote for, who I'm voting for. No. I'm not trying to sway your vote. I'm just trying to tell you, I'm co-founder of Pastors for Trump. And so we have over 10,000 people, not all of them pastors. In fact, whether you're a pastor, whether you're not a pastor, we invite you to go to pastorsfortrump.com. You can either put the number 4 or you can put, FOR. And if you'll sign up, we normally have monthly prayer calls. We kind of took a little break in the summertime, but we try to do one prayer call a month. We've had President Trump himself on our prayer call. We've had General
Wow.
Flynn, Roger Stone. In fact, actually, when President Trump someone hacked into our system, and we had 120,000 people watching us live, and someone hacked in, and President Trump could not hear us. And because of that, he's answering some questions. Then he kept saying hello, and so anyway, it got all screwed up. And so we were able to call him back, talk to him on a cell phone, then record that. The great thing about that is that Newsweek, all the mainstream media got a hold of the botched prayer call and talked about it. So we had more people actually go rewatch the stream. If they would have said nothing about it, people wanted to watch. But it's interesting. This was right before the first indictment that happened, and there in New York City, and we asked President Trump what we could pray for, because thinking, if I'm facing an indictment, I probably want prayer for myself.
Right.
But he actually says, you know what, guys, I'm going to be okay. I want you to pray for this nation. This nation is, needs help. And I think that's pretty awesome, that he wasn't even concerned about himself. He's concerned about the nation. But I want to encourage everyone that we do need to be praying for President Trump. We need to be praying for a couple different areas. Number one, we need to pray for that his lawyers will know what to say, what to do. The Lord will give them wisdom, knowledge. We need to pray that he'll surround himself with people that are on the team, because that's been a problem for him in the past. You can talk to his kids, Eric and Don Jr. I have, and they told me that. In fact, I met Don Jr. within 5 minutes of meeting Don Jr. He's already telling me his dad's still not really good about surrounding himself with good people, because people around knows him, and so he'll like he's very trusting. But anyway, we also need to pray for the judges, that the judges will rule according to the law and not according to political party. Or you understand, judges have a lot of, they're thinking, well, if I don't do it, people are going to come by my house. People are going to send me death threats. And so sometimes, it's not fair for them. We need to pray for the people that are on the jury, that God will lead them to make the right decision. And we got to pray for this nation. So there's a couple of things to pray for. One thing I'm trying to do right now, on Pastors for Trump, we're going to try to put that up. I'm also going to put up my super PAC. I haven't had a chance to do it yet. Right now is the time to register to vote. Most states, if you haven't registered, you can't vote. And so a lot of times people wait to the last minute. But if you do it now, then you're already registered. And so most states actually now do allow you to do it online. Either you can register online, or you can download an application and send it in, or whatever. And so we are going to, at some point in time, at Pastors for Trump and my website, preserveusa.org, we will have how you can register in all 50 states up to help people register. In fact, just last week, we did a registration drive here at our church, and the amount of people who registered from our church, which we're pretty politically involved, I was surprised how many people weren't registered and were lining up to go get registered. But now is the time to register, because you know how many times people call me up like 2 days before the election? Hey, can I vote? I'm like, are you registered? Well, no. There are some states, unfortunately, that allow you to register on the day of, but most states, you have to register early, and the earlier the better. And so the primaries are going to be coming up. I guess March is most of the primaries. You want to get registered before that, but that's kind of my push right now, is to get registered, because if you're not registered, you can't vote. And I think that's where a lot of people, especially the young people, how many young people that would probably vote if they're registered to get registered. So it's kind of crazy, but
yeah, no, I mean, I do agree with you that people need to start registering now, because Taylor Swift just did a registration push. She got 35,000 Democrats signed up from one push. So
wow.
We need to come together and get people registered on the right side. I became Republican about a year ago. I was independent for about 2 years, and then before that I was Democrat. So I've actually completely made the transition from a liberal to a right-wing content creator. The one reason why I was excited to meet you is because I believe, first of all, just to give you my quick background, I was born in Mexico, so by blood I would be Catholic or Christian.
Yeah.
But I was adopted at birth by a Jewish family, so I was bar mitzvahed, and I was raised culturally. I would say, yeah, I was raised Jewish more for the high holidays, but other than that, we didn't really celebrate. I guess we're called Reform. But my point is I think that this country, as some of my audience said in the comments, we're kind of heading into a dark place right now from a cultural standpoint. And I think a lot of that has to do with people are moving away from religion, or they have been for a couple of decades now. And I think it's important that we as a country start to return to some level of faith and worship and guidance, so that way we could improve the morality of this country, because I think we're going into a very perverted place right now where people are not God-fearing. And I'm not even personally, I'm not even a religious person myself. I don't go to church. I don't go to synagogue. But I still think that a society as a whole needs to have some kind of moral foundation. And I think that's through religion.
Yeah, and it's true. And that brings me to my postcard. I received this postcard. This is actually the Satanic American flag. Never knew what that was, but that's the Satanic American flag. The scariest thing about it is I scanned this into my iPad, and it recognized it as a Satanic American flag. In fact, so on my notes, it says Satanic American flag. The reason I scanned it is because it was handwritten, and I sweat a lot, so it's kind of, this is a handwritten note from someone who says they're Satan. All right. If they are Satan, they live in Denver, Colorado. I thought Satan lived in hell, but I'll let you. It's kind of interesting, but it's postmarked Denver, Colorado, and here's what it says. It says, "Dear Craig, our servants." At least it says, "Dear Craig." I mean, they gave me a nice thing, but it says, "Our servants and government and media are aware of your vain efforts to restore your modern guru Donald Trump to the presidency. You will fail. America is ours. Prideful godliness, sexual perversion, and gross immorality are here to stay. The 2 millennial of your Christ are finished. The kingdom of darkness rises. Your children will convert to our ways. Abandon all hope. From hell, Satan, 666." And it's postmarked here, Rain Bible Church, sent here to the church. Um, Full disclosure, so my office called me on a Friday, and a lot of times I take Friday off, and says, "Hey, Craig, we got a postcard here." Not, they didn't say postcard, it's a letter from Satan. I thought they were joking. I mean, I thought I got a letter, and I get a lot of hate mail. I mean, for whatever reason. So I thought it was some lady that upset about something that I did, because sometimes I'll just say things that maybe older people don't really like or whatever. And so I'm like, so when they hand me on Monday, I said, "I'll be in on Monday." I walked in, our partner services area where we get our mail, and they handed me this postcard. I'm like, this is really from Satan. I thought it was from some lady, but and that's the thing. My generation, I'm 54. And my generation, especially, things were always, I mean, satanic things happened, but they were in the background. People didn't know about them. They weren't like, they didn't come out public. Like they had a thing called backwards masking when I was in high school, junior high. And that's where they would play a record. Most people don't know what a record is, but they would play a record backwards and supposedly would say things. Sometimes you could hear it. Sometimes you couldn't. Sometimes if they wouldn't tell you what it said, you wouldn't even know what it said. So, now I don't know if it was real or not real, but the point is it was hidden. This isn't hidden anymore. I mean, this is a Satanic American flag. I mean, and that's the thing. I think that's with morality. That's what you're talking about. I mean, now it's in your face. We're going to throw sexual perversion. We're going to throw all this stuff. We're going to invite, the trans, LGBTQYS, whatever, however many letters there are now, to the White House, and we're going to put their flag up. I mean, it's right in your face. And unfortunately, our kids and my grandkids are watching this stuff on, like I said, mainstream media. I mean, I happen to watch some of the Fox news channels mainly at nighttime. I like Kennedy, Tucker. Of course, Tucker got ousted. But, and they report on it. So they see all this stuff. Now my kids are not usually up that late at nighttime, or my grandkids. But it's just crazy. They throw this stuff in your face. And I think that's what you're talking about. Many people remember 9/11, and 9/11. Let's say 9/11 was a Tuesday. 9/12 was a Wednesday, and it's interesting. Like in our church on a Wednesday night, we have a good crowd on Wednesday night, but we never put people in the balcony. I mean, we never fill the bottom story, and never in it. So we actually have curtains on our balcony, so you can see the balcony. On 9/12, that was a Wednesday night. We filled the church up. You know why? Because people, once 9/11 happened, people started running to God. And, I don't want it to take another 9/11 moment for people to run to God, but something needs to happen, where people start running to God and get back, to the things of God, because, that was a fear situation. But it's interesting because now, post-COVID, now our church is up. And I think maybe because we stood up against COVID, but churches all over America are down, post-COVID. So what they had pre-COVID and what they have post-COVID, some are less than 50% of what they had before. And, that was the devil trying to stop people from going to church, because they don't want people to gather together especially anything godly, and that's what they're endeavoring to do.
Yeah.
Um, and so, but I think you're right. I mean, whether you go to church or not, there's a morality that's built on the inside of us. We were born with morality, and I think it's you know that the world has changed, and it seems like it changed overnight, but it hasn't. What's happened is that they've indoctrinated our kids for probably 20 years now. Starting in the colleges and now going down to the high schools, and junior highs. I was talking to one of um, well, he's a former teacher. He's now an Oklahoma House rep, and he says, Craig, you realize that in the classroom, I'm like king. I mean, pretty much, I have things I have to talk about, but pretty much they don't know what's going on in my classroom. I can pretty much say or do anything for the most part, unless someone tries to turn me in. And the thing about it is, if I'm being liberal, most of the school boards or whatever, they don't care. I mean, it doesn't bother them. And that's why we not only need to have run for national races, we need to run for school board. We have almost turned our Tulsa Public Schools Republican again, because what we don't realize, because it's a nonpartisan race, you don't put a D or an R by your name. Oklahoma is majority Republican. We have a super majority Republican. In fact, if all the Democrats left, like they did in Texas, we can still pass laws because we don't need them. I mean, it doesn't matter what they vote for because there's so few of them. In fact, in Oklahoma, all 77 counties voted for President Trump in 2016 and in 2020, and will vote for him in 2024. And so, we are super Republican. So usually if you just put an R by your name, you're going to win. What now? That's the thing. We have a lot of rhinos because they know the only way to win is put an R by their name. But when it comes to school board and city council, school board and city council are nonpartisan races. So people don't realize that they're Democrats because they say the right things when it comes down to election time. Conservative values and all kinds of stuff like that. But when it comes to voting time, they're not conservative values. And so we've actually turned our city council in Tulsa Republican. It was all Democrat for the most part. We had 2 Republicans. We have 9 city council. We had 2 Republicans and 7 Democrats. And so I think we're 5-4 now. And that's because we've worked hard in Tulsa County, doing that. And now our church is in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. I'm proud to say we have 5 city council members. They're all very conservative, very, Broken Arrow never had any kind of mask mandate or anything. And so I talked to the mayor the other day, because they're trying to bring this COVID stuff again. And she says, correct, because our former mayor felt for whatever reason that every couple of weeks had to talk about COVID. He goes, Craig, we're not talking about COVID. We're not talking about masks. We're not talking about vaccines. That won't even come up at city council. We're not going to have any conversations about it, because it was too divisive, because there are people that were afraid. And that's, the Bible does say, in Timothy, Paul told Timothy, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. But, it's interesting. Churches got afraid during COVID. There's a lot of churches that shut down for 2 years because they were afraid. I'm afraid of a virus. And ours, I'm a Christian. I know you grew up Jewish. Jesus Christ died upon the cross, and the Bible says that by his stripes we were healed. If we were healed, then we are healed. So why are we worried about a virus? I get it. Some people did die from COVID, but I found out a lot of times those situations, those people were very sickly already. And some of them, if they would have got the normal flu, might have killed them anyway because they were in old folks' home. And
the research, according to CDC, says that the average COVID death, I think, had 2.6 comorbidities, and the average age was somewhere in the 70s. So you were right; it was a lot of people that were already vulnerable to any kind of sickness. One thing I wanted to mention was you said that the Satan letter came from Denver, Colorado. I would argue that Denver, Colorado is a little bit of a hellscape because they have the most aggressive pro-abortion laws in the country. They allow a mother to abort her baby 30 days after death, and it's been criminalized. So, Denver, Colorado, in a way, is run by Satan. So I agree with you on that. The second thing I want to say is I found it crazy that during COVID, they shut down churches, but they kept the strip clubs open. That to me just said it all about the agenda. um, which is really sad. And I'm 40 years old. I'm single, but unfortunately, what I've noticed is when I go on Instagram or I go on Bumble or Tinder, and I'm looking at all the young hot chicks in their 20s, almost all of them today are on OnlyFans. I used to say to people, if you Googled the girl 20 years ago and you found her naked online, you'd be shocked.
Oh yeah.
Today, if I don't find a naked photo of a girl online, I'm shocked because
Oh yeah.
it's become normalized in this society. So I want to know, like, what are your thoughts on this whole normalization of pornography? Like, what are your thoughts? How do we fix that? Is it discovering religion? Is it discovering Jesus? What's your opinion on that?
I would like to say that will help, but the amount of people addicted to porn in church is huge. It's probably just as much as in the world. I think it's not just discovering Jesus, but having a relationship with Jesus Christ. And like I said, this morality has happened over here, and it's not just dating apps or whatever. I mean, I know people. I've checked out people's Facebook profiles. And they're I'm talking about normal people. There's a girl who I actually know. I mean, personally know, and I didn't even know she's on her only. But every once in a while she'll actually admit, "Hey, go check out my OnlyFans." Page or whatever, which I've never checked it out, by the way, just full disclosure. But I mean, so she's promoting on Facebook, so it's not like she's, trying to date. She's just, looking to make money, and I think that's it's probably the modern day way of making money without being a stripper on, at a club, because some people tend to look bad on that, but they don't. I don't know the answer, and it just hit me the other day. I was actually at a pastor's thing, and they were talking about. I had an individual that was actually they're involved with child sex trafficking and those kind of things, and they're talking about one of the issues is porn, and it says your 12-year-old that has might have a phone or have a device or whatever, you can say, and what I never thought about, hey Siri, show me boobs, and it will pull them up.
Oh wow!
So I never even thought about that kind of stuff. I mean, but said basically the kids are starting to see pornography at 9 and 10. Most of the people, whether they have a device or they borrow their whatever, or there's a computer in the home. It's not hard to type in stuff. I mean my generation. I mean, if you got your mom's Cosmopolitan and see a girl in a swimsuit, something like that, or bra and panties, you thought that was like something, But now you don't have to have any imagination. You can, you can. It's crazy. I mean, it's just morality, and I think I'd like to say coming to church is going to fix it, but that does just you can live in a garage, not be a car, not be a car. I mean, that's the thing. You can go to a church, and it really takes your own personal habits, and I think it's having a relationship with Jesus, with God, with or whatever your religion. I mean, I don't care if what religion you are. Every religion has more moral standards. In fact, I studied in a class. Actually, it was my son did homeschooling, and so he had to take a class, and so he took this world religion class, and so I studied about Hinduism, Buddhism, and it was a Christian homeschool, and so they compared it. They showed how the Hindu religion and the Buddhist religion has a lot of laws that are real similar to the Ten Commandments. I mean, so its morality is the key, and that's the thing. There's a lack of morals in the United States of America, and even among people who go to church. Some people go to church because of social club. Some people go to church. I know people go to church because they want their kids to be raised in church. So it's important for the kids to be there. They just hang out with other people, and now our church is a little bit different. We have a Bible school, so it's a little bit different here at our church than most churches. We tend to be more religious than most people. We tend to be. That's the other thing about it. Our church is primarily Republican, so it's to talk about something like that. But my dad actually probably had the most pro-political sermon one Wednesday night. And what he did, all he did was he goes, this is during the 2016 election. And so this is after the debate with Hillary Clinton and President Trump, and they're talking about late term abortion, all that stuff. So he goes online, gets the Democrat platform, gets the Republican platform, it just goes and lays them out. So this is a Democrat platform. This is what the things that they stand for. This is what the Republican platform is, what they stand for. You make the choice which more closely aligns to our religious beliefs. So he didn't say become a Republican. He just said, you can't go to the platform, with abortion and all these kind of things, and that doesn't align with our religious beliefs. And so I thought that was pretty awesome. Never even thought about having a sermon like that. And then I get in trouble half the time because my sermons are too political. But anyway, it is what it is. The thing is, we have to realize we have a worldwide organization. In fact, we have as many people stream our services online as we do here here. And so a lot of them come from a state where I'm not saying that they're Democrats. Mainly because their dad voted Democrat, their grandfather voted Democrat, or whatever. They don't follow along with all the kind of stuff, but they've been pre-programmed to hate Trump for whatever reason. So
Yep.
And so so I do have to watch because one of our biggest supporters called me one day on the phone. Actually, it was after our Reawaken America tour stopped at Tulsa, and says, "Hey, can we still be friends? Because I'm a Democrat." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I don't believe with some of the things you believe, but he goes, well, I'm not for abortion and things like that. It's in Oklahoma, we had what we call blue dog Democrats. That's what he was. I mean, he's more of a middle of the road Democrat, which pretty much doesn't exist. Maybe Joe Manchin's, maybe one of the few left.
Right.
And so his deal is he's actually a civil engineer, and the Democrats are really big with infrastructure. And what he said, he goes, Craig, Joe Biden wants to push the infrastructure bill bigger than than Obama. Under the Obama era, my company really flourished because cities contracted me to do all kinds of stuff from bridges and all kinds of things. And so he goes, I don't know how we're going to pay for it. Our grandkids are going to have to figure that one out. But my company's going to make a lot of money if Biden gets elected president. So here's the thing: this guy's a really good giver. I mean, every time he gets a contract, he actually as soon as people pay him, he gives a tithe or an offering on his business. So when the infrastructure bill came up, I'm like, okay, I'm not really for it, but you know what? He's going to make a lot of money, which is going to make donations to the church. So it is what it is. And the thing about it is, he still donates even though he's a Democrat and I'm a staunch Republican. And he's a good guy.
That's good to hear. It's kind of more uncommon today with all the polarization that's happening in this country. And you're right. Our kids, I don't have kids yet, but our kids are going to have to, figure out what to do with our economy because we are going in so much more debt. I think, what are we at? Like 32 trillion now in debt as a country.
And we're fixing to be more after we have to, in order to keep the government going, we're going to have to pass some kind of something. I mean, it's crazy.
You know what I heard is that if the government shuts down and all the employees have to get furloughed, we're still going to be paying the Ukrainian bills. So they're still going to be getting their money from us, even if our American government workers aren't getting any money. I find that to be so backwards.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Biden does not run his country. We all know that. I mean, he basically can barely run his own life. But I don't know what's the end game here. I mean, why do you want to destroy America? Because it seems like the policies that are being put forth, right now. I mean, obviously, open borders. I mean, we can support the Ukrainian border, but we can't support our own border. Yep. And then here's what people don't realize, and people need to realize. So, our Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, he's been a good friend for a while, and actually, I did help him run he was in Congress, House for a while, and then he became our senator. He says, Craig, what people don't realize is when Trump was president, all the pipelines were 100% open, 100%. He says now with Biden, they're actually only flowing at 25%. So even the pipelines that are open, they're not pumping a lot of oil there. And so that's why our gas prices, and notice as they've kept going higher and higher, and people aren't griping right now. For whatever reason, they griped out when it first went higher, and then it kind of went down a little bit. But I mean, Oklahoma always has, because we are, Tulsa used to be the oil capital of the world, and all the pipelines actually go through Oklahoma for the most part. Even when they come up from Texas or down or whatever, Oklahoma's the middle of the country, and so we have and we store a lot of oil here because we had a lot of oil tanks that they built, and so we always have cheapest gas prices. But I think it was 368 the other day. I saw it 372. And when President Trump was president, I don't think it ever got above $1.75 a gallon, and so that's the thing. We don't realize that according to what I've been told, Oklahoma, Texas, produces a bunch of oil. Our Governor Stitt, who's also a friend of mine, who's he's a preacher's son. So we get along pretty well. He has some policies that I don't like sometimes, but he's a good Republican governor. And so he says, you know what, we have enough oil in Oklahoma to make up the difference if they'll just buy our oil, but instead of buying our oil from Oklahoma, from Texas, they decided to go over to Iran and Russia. I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, what's the end game here? I guess the end game is we're going to line your pockets, with kickbacks or whatever. But you're going to Biden will not finish his term in office. I guarantee it. He's not going to finish his term in office, which I know that might make Kamala Harris president for a short time, which is kind of a scary point as well. But you know what? Can she do any worse? I mean, that's my other side about it is, I actually have a theory on that. Kamala Harris does not like to be hated. I mean, she hates to be hated. And so she might actually push back now, on some of these policies. I don't know if she will or not, because she might be threatened or whatever. But
I don't know, man. Look at the border, though. She's supposed to be the border czar. I mean, look at the border.
Yeah. Well, that's why. Yeah, she hasn't done anything, and the reason she hasn't done, but she's not. She's in charge of the border, so to speak. But that's why she's hiding. She doesn't want to talk about it because they won't let her do anything. So who knows? I have no clue. I just know mainstream media. I mean, they are picking up on the Joe Biden thing. I mean, they're actually reporting stuff now that they haven't been reporting, and so I think that they're. Well, according to all the polls, now you realize that President Trump has never, when he faced Hillary Clinton, he didn't win the popular vote. He won the electoral college vote. So right now he's ahead in the popular vote. I mean, in skewed polls, we're talking about Democrat polls that are really skewed Democrats. So he might be up 15% in the popular vote, which basically says statistically that's an electoral college landslide.
One thing I wanted to talk about real quick, you mentioned the gas prices, and I think that the high gas prices are fulfilling a few objectives for the Biden administration, or should we say the Obama administration, right?
Yeah.
The first thing it's doing is it's bankrupting the middle class, because the middle class has cars, but they're not wealthy enough where the gas prices don't affect them, right? The rich people, they don't care if gas is $10 a gallon because they're rich. It doesn't matter to them. So it's and the poor people don't really have cars. So who's it affecting? The middle class. It's destroying the middle class. The second thing it's doing is it's pushing people to consider electric vehicles, which is a huge agenda of the Biden administration. They want us all driving green vehicles. They want us getting rid of gas stoves. They don't want us flying. They want us capped off. They want to track our carbon footprints. So I feel like that's what we're moving towards with the high gas prices. I do think it's by design. I think this is exactly what Joe Biden wanted, $4 gas. If he could even push it up to $5, he will. And you're right. I missed filling up my Honda Civic for $20 a tank. I miss doing that. Now it's almost $40 every time, twice the price, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. And
I wanted to ask you, so right now we have I think debates tonight, Republican GOP debate number 2.
Yeah.
If Trump wasn't running, let's just remove Trump for a minute, who would be your first choice as a Republican nominee?
Well, and so that's the thing, if Trump wasn't running, DeSantis would be my first choice.
DeSantis?
Yeah, but because Trump is running, in my own opinion, DeSantis kind of has ruined his career by running. And the thing is, I believe that Trump would have supported him in 2028. I think, he would have supported him. Because I'm familiar with inside information. So President Trump has actually told people, if anyone works, so it's a normal thing in the primary. People work for different things. Like, for instance, Katrina Pearson worked for Ted Cruz. He was the the PR person. He was doing the CNN interviews and all kinds of stuff like that. Well, after Trump beat Cruz, then Katrina Pearson came to work for President Trump as a PR person or whatever. It's pretty normal to hire some of the best people from other things. President Trump has thrown it out there. If you do anything for the DeSantis camp, I don't care if you're an intern that sets up chairs at an event, I will not hire you. And on my team, whether it be once I get elected president or whether on my campaign team. Now he might change. There's a lot of bad blood between the two. And I hate that because I really like DeSantis. And I think he's a good governor. And I know a lot of pastors in Florida that, like, we elect him to be governor. We want him to finish his term out. Then he can run next time. The problem is I don't see Trump supporting him in 2028 unless there's some kind of miraculous coming back together. And a lot of people say, well, what about the Trump DeSantis ticket? What people don't realize, that's illegal. If both president and vice president are from the same state, then they have to give up the electoral votes in that state. And so unless Trump goes and re-registers in New York again, they cannot run in the same ticket because they're both registered to vote in Florida. And so that's a little known fact, that because you can't win as the presidential election with losing the state of Florida, so they can't run in the same ticket unless somebody moves. But I do like DeSantis. I mean, I like what Vivek says. I don't trust Vivek. I think he won the first debate. I think, he went from everyone talking to, he was the one everyone was beating up on or whatever. I think he might be a little young. No, just like you, and just like President Trump, I believe he went from being a Democrat to a Republican, and maybe he is a true Republican. Maybe he totally flipped on some stuff, but the background comes up whenever you're young like that, and I think he's a little bit too young. I think he's trying to vie for vice president. I haven't met the guy, so it's really hard to think, but I did enjoy him in the debate. Tim Scott is my pick for VP for Trump. I think that he'll make a great VP. Seems like a great man. Very religious. And I love the fact that he talks about how how he came up from from nothing, come from poverty, and how he's showing that it doesn't matter what your color your skin is, you can become something, if you work hard. And I do like him. That's the
beauty of America. That's the beauty of the USA, is we are the least racist country in the world, and anybody can have an opportunity here if you work hard, have two parents, and go to college. You do those three things, you're going to succeed in the country, right? It doesn't matter your skin color.
Yeah, and but the thing about it is, let me back up to when Obama got elected president. Now, I will say, I followed political campaigns or whatever. Now I'm working political campaigns. Obama actually had a really good, I still remember, yes, we can. Remember, that was his deal. And so when he got elected, one of our music minister here, who happens to be black, said, I don't like Obama's, things. I did not vote for him, but I'm actually really glad to see a black man become president. So now the little boys and little girls can think that maybe one day they can become president. And I'm like, I looked at it like, wait a minute. So you're telling me that a black person born in America doesn't ever think they can become president? He goes, yeah, that's just the culture. That's the culture that we come from. And I'm like, okay, who told Obama that he could become president one day in life, or whatever? You know what his answer was? His white grandmother and his white mom. And you understand, Obama supposedly, I don't know, grew up in Hawaii. And then he wasn't from inner city Chicago. What did he go to Yale or Harvard or something like that? Then moved to Chicago. So he's not from the hood like most black people, are. And so it really kind of floored me, because in life, my dad, my parents have always basically told me I can do whatever, I can achieve whatever I want to in life with God's help and working hard. That's what I've always been told. But I don't believe that. Especially, in the ghettos, and stuff, I don't believe that's being told. And also, racism is taught. No one's born a racist when they were born, from whatever. And unfortunately, there are some folks that are racist, white folks and whatever. But it tends to be people from the ghetto are more racist, toward cops, toward like white cops. I mean, I would hate to be a cop in today's society. In fact, I was just talking to a cop that said, "Man, I used to love my job. Now I just endure it." I mean,
Yep.
you know,
There was a survey that was done about 7 or 8 years ago by Rasmussen, and they polled. Oh, my dog just vomited. They
oh
polled.
man,
They polled different skin colors
yeah,
on racism in this country. Oh, it was a big one. And what they found was, come here, Cloud. What they found was Black Americans self-identified as the most racist
yeah,
of all the skin colors. And I was shocked to see that Black Americans themselves, per the poll, self-identified as the most racist group, which is just very shocking. But then when you look at a lot of the crime data that exists in this country today, unfortunately, some of that data does align with that personal belief that they have.
hmm
So, there is racism in this country. I don't think it's where they say it is. I don't think white supremacy is the biggest threat in this country. Let me tell you something. As a Mexican American, I have never been a victim of white supremacy. I don't, as Vivek Ramaswamy said, it's like the boogeyman. Maybe it exists, but I just haven't met it yet.
yeah,
If anybody's a white supremacist, it's probably Joe Biden, because he did give a eulogy for Robert Byrd of the KKK. So it's kind
yeah.
of like, if we're, and also he just called LL Cool J boy. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's crazy. And like I said, but I think I don't want to give Joe Biden a break, but really, the day and age he grew up, that was more prevalent than it is, today. Today people don't really care. I remember back in the '90s, it was like taboo when a black and a white started dating or whatever. Now it's like, I don't care. I don't care who you date. I don't care who you marry. It's no big deal. And I think that's a good part about society but here's the thing. Obviously, you're Mexican American. I actually, have a lot of Native American in my Cherokee tribe. I mean, think about my ancestors, what we went through. They kicked us out of our land, over in Florida, Alabama, Georgia area, brought us to Oklahoma, and then did a land run and took over our Sooner State here, which is interesting. If you the Oklahoma Sooners, you realize that their mascot. So the reason they're called the Sooners is because, and they say Boomer Sooner. So when they had the land run, in Oklahoma, where everyone could, they fired a gun and everyone could go stake out 40 acres or whatever. Well, the Sooners were the cheaters who actually went off and got their acreage before the gun went off. So Oklahoma University named their mascot after a bunch of cheaters. So that's kind of interesting thing. I graduated Oklahoma State University, so I want to point that out. So anyway, which Oklahoma State is actually Payne County. That's where the land run actually started. So if anyone has the right to be mad at the white man, it's the Native Americans. So here's what I say. I say the Indian casinos are the Indians' way of getting back at the white man. So, for a while in Oklahoma, the only thing that was being built, at one point in time was casinos. And I think that Oklahoma's number 3. Obviously Nevada's number 1, and then number
What's
2
number
is
2? Is California number 2?
No, I think in New Jersey. California might be 3. Maybe Oklahoma's number 4 because we have so many.
New Jersey, yeah, Atlantic City.
Atlantic City is number 2. California might have creeped up to number 3, but Oklahoma, because we have so many tribes here in Oklahoma, we have so many Indian casinos. I mean, it's like amazing. Like here in Tulsa, we have 3 big casinos. We have a Hard Rock, casino, which
got
is
one here in Tampa too. Hard Rock Tampa.
Yeah, Hard Rock Tampa. Yeah. It's as a Seminole tribe, I believe. It's Cherokee tribe have Hard Rock, and then we have another big casino. And then the Osage tribe has a thing. The Creek tribe has so we have 3 tribes that have big casinos. Then we have smaller ones around here. I mean, it's like, and then it's interesting. We passed medical marijuana a couple of years ago. Man, we have more dispensaries than I don't even know. In fact, I can throw a rock from my church and hit 3 dispensaries. I mean, that's how, because whenever they actually they forgot about you can't have liquor stores by churches, but they didn't put the same rules for a dispensary. And so we have Oklahoma's largest daycare at our church, And so, and there's a dispensary basically across the street from our church. I mean, that's how, and there's 5 or 6 within a mile radius of our church, maybe more than that.
Yeah, they're
There's
all over Florida now too. Florida, you see these CBD dispensaries everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so, people who come back, graduate from Bible school, they come back, they're like, dude, what happened to Broken Arrow? I mean, we thought we used to be the buckled Bible belt, but I mean, there's dispensaries everywhere. It's just crazy. And that goes to morality, in America, and that's what I've heard, kids say, well, weed's pretty much legal now, so why does it matter? I mean, you know, and the deal is, in life, I've seen a lot of functioning alcoholics. You don't see a lot of functioning potheads because, it takes your drive away. People, and I get it. I have seen, there's a few cases where, medical marijuana, especially with people with seizures or whatever, where it actually works for medical thing. But my doctor, actually, I've, full disclosure, I've had some kidney issue over years. And so when we passed
What
medical,
kind of issues did you have?
kidney issues. I've had some kidney deals. So I was talking to my kidney doctor right after we passed medical marijuana. So I said, what do you think about medical marijuana? Here's what she said. She says, I haven't done the research, but I do know that there are some things it tends to help. But what I have a problem with is that you get a medical marijuana card, you go buy all the weed you want to buy, any form. I said, she goes, if I give you medication, you have to take it as directed. And then if you want more pain pills, you can't get them until 30 days out or whatever. With marijuana, you can. So I think with medical marijuana, they need to say, well, you can have 3 joints a day, or give you, you shouldn't be able to just go buy all you want. And so that's why I don't think it's, even if it does help, it needs to be regulated and prescribed. Now, the other side about it is we did come against, recreational marijuana. But I think the reason is because everyone who wants it already has a card, so they don't really care. I mean, they can get it anyway. All you have to do is say you have a headache. I have chronic headaches, or my ear hurts.
Right.
And they'll prescribe it for you, so it doesn't matter.
What are your kidney problems that you have?
I actually have I'm in remission, but my kidneys produce extra protein. So what happens is instead of protein going through my body, it goes out my urine, and so and it caused a lot of issues. In fact, a number of people that it's I can't remember the name for it. Keto. No, that's another. I can't even. It's K. I can't think what it is. But anyway, if you read about all the outcomes, I mean, a lot of times you lose your kidney or go to dialysis or whatever. But my numbers are great. God's healed me. And it's I still see my kidney doctor, but she's like, man, it's incredible what went on, and it's it's a very rare disease, and what I have that and I said, well, is it because I need to lose weight? Because at the time I'm 260 now. I was 350, so I did need to lose weight. But she goes, you need to lose weight, but I have a marathon runner that has the same disease you have, so it's not about your weight, but you need to lose weight. And so I went and lost 100 pounds. I've gained 10 of it back. So
Congratulations.
So I got down to 250, now about 260. I'm more maintained. Saying I went to 30 carbs a day. Also with the help of Dr. Sherwood, Sherwood.tv, if you want to check him out. Tell him I sent you. Anyway, he helped me, and I was able to lose 100 pounds, which is not normal for people. But
the reason why I was asking is because I have kidney failure.
Oh, really?
I've been on dialysis for a year and 3 months now.
So what did they say? What do you have? What is
Mine was caused by high blood pressure.
Oh, really?
That's it.
Well, just high blood pressure. See, that was the thing, is they didn't know if my blood pressure was causing kidney issues or my kidney was causing my blood pressure issues. But at one point in time, I had like 40 pounds of water weight on me. So I actually ballooned up to like 370 at one point in time. And so yeah, and I can't even think what they right now offhand. The only reason is because I also have another rare disease, keratoconus, which is a eye disease, and so and that's I had to have a kidney a transplant. So I've actually had 3 or 4 incurable weird diseases in my life. So that's kind of pretty crazy. But God's done a great work with me. I'm doing good. And in fact, like Um, well, just my ex-wife's husband now, he actually had to have a kidney donated to him because he had kidney failure, and then that one's gone bad. And I think he was kind of not disappointed because he's happy for me, but he would actually ask me my bun score and all those kind of things, and he'd be like, man, Craig, yours is actually really good, because but like I said, I'm in remission right now, um, and so through prayer and what they put me on was a real high dose of I can't even think of what it's called, prednisone. I took up to
Prednisone,
80,
yeah.
80 milligrams of prednisone a day
Yeah, it's
at one
a
point.
steroid. For those wondering,
Yeah,
prednisone is a steroid. It can help with a lot of different ailments. It's also
yeah,
good for gout. It's good for pain management, but it can also cause you to have increased appetite. And so a lot of times on prednisone, people do
yeah.
gain weight. So you don't want to go more than a couple of weeks on prednisone, but some people do take it for a long term and it can cause weight gain.
Yeah, so I was on it for like 6 months, and it started with 80 and going down. So that wasn't. I mean, it was pretty hard to lose weight when you're on prednisone.
Yep.
But and then lisinopril. I still take lisinopril, which is a blood pressure medication. And they really said I don't need it anymore for my blood pressure, but also helps with your kidneys and helps with things like that. So yeah, it is interesting. You know, but I'm doing well. Like I
Hey, I'm
said.
happy that you've been able to overcome all your different, various
Yeah.
illnesses.
So they won't tell you. They'll never tell you that you're healed. They'll say you're in remission. And now
Right.
I will say I was in remission at one point in time, and it did come back. And the reason they said it because very high stressful point in time. Just full disclosure, my son, my middle son, I have three boys, four step kids, so I have seven kids altogether, six boys and one girl. And seven
Big
grandkids now.
family.
So yeah. So anyway, but my middle boy got in some legal trouble, ended up going to prison for a year, and so during that time, I went through a lot of stressful time. And well, actually, he got sentenced to 8 years with a 1 year judicial review, and so he was able to get out at 1 year because of good behavior and that kind of stuff. The judge basically says you have 1 year to prove yourself, and so I was really concerned because my son's the kind of person that will. I mean, he won't get in a fight himself, but he will defend other people. He will defend himself and he'll defend other people. So I was concerned that someone's going to pick on somebody else and he was going to defend them. I mean, and get in trouble. But it all worked out. And so I think that's why I think it came back. But now things are going great. My son's out of
Awesome.
prison. He's doing great. He graduated from Rainbow Bible Training College, rbtc.org, and he's in the ministry today. He's out preaching. His whole thing is to keep other young people away from some of the things that he did. Now he talks about, he goes, it was my parents' fault, because my parents raised me right. But, once again, he started with weed, then it went to something a little higher, and then, guns were involved and all kinds of stupid things. And, so.
I want to say that there is another pastor that was in the room before.
Yeah.
The comment section named Patterson. I don't know
Yeah, I
if you
saw
know.
him. Yeah.
Okay. He does prison ministries.
Okay.
And he says that the number one way to minimize recidivism is discovering Jesus.
Yeah.
That is one of the few ways that people do not return to jail is discovering God. So I think it's a good thing to have religion on your side, to get that moral foundation like we started talking about in the beginning.
Yeah. So, as like I said, that's probably, and it's interesting because we have a huge impact in the prison system. So my son was like a celebrity because everybody. I mean, I don't know how many people like, oh man, your grandfather's my it's actually his great grandfather. I mean, they would get our monthly magazine, all kinds of stuff, especially in Oklahoma prisons. We are very heavily involved, and so it's pretty awesome. So even when he was in prison, um, you know, he he was able to make an impact and
Awesome.
in prison, and so able to to in fact, he says, Dad, I hate it to happen. Now he went to Teen Challenge before, but they still sentenced him to prison. And actually, where he was at, they have a thing called Freedom Challenge, which Teen Challenge has a thing in the prison, which he was he was there. And so it's he says I see it right there. I went to Springfield, Missouri, yeah, and they played basketball. So he might have went to Ozark, did you go to Ozark Patterson? Because anyway, but yeah, Kenneth W. Hagin is my dad. Kenneth E. Hagin is my grandfather.
That's awesome. Look at that.
eh,
Small world.
yeah, yeah, and so yeah, we but my son said, Dad, if I wouldn't have went to prison, I don't know if I would have changed. It took
Yeah.
that for
It's a
me,
wake-up
and so
call. It's a wake-up call.
it's a wake up call. But the thing about it is he's able to minister to people that I can't. Because he goes, a lot of people are gangbangers wannabe. I hung around the gang members. In fact, he was probably honorary blood. I mean,
Wow.
he's really good at basketball. So he goes, I'm the only white guy that that was playing on a basketball team. So he has a 7-foot wingspan. So
Damn.
he plays center. He played center for our Bible college too. So so he played basketball. And so it's interesting that they took him under his wing. So he hung out with the Bloods. He goes, I'm not a Blood, but but that's who I hang out with here in prison. So but that's the thing. My son actually relates more to the Black culture. I mean, he didn't have issue with that because he wasn't born racist or whatever. Now, and in fact, whenever he was in Tulsa County, one of his workout partners, he was a Native American. I mean, so racism, like I said, is trained. I mean, my kids don't know any different. I didn't know any different. My parents or my grandparents used to travel a lot. And well, still do. And one of our first experiences when I was 3 years old, we put our motorhome in a church in South Central LA where they had the riots or whatever. That we put our motorhome in the church. I mean, my first movie that I ever went to, the pastor's kids took me to see Bambi. We rode the city LA bus, east in South Central LA to the movie theater. So I mean, I was probably the only white kid around. I mean, so that doesn't bother me. Never has bothered me. I mean, skin color. I mean, God created us all. It doesn't matter. Our skin color doesn't matter. It's what's on the inside what really matters. And I think that's what needs to be taught.
Yep.
I think that I don't know how this happened. I mean, you want to say there's no way, but here's the thing: we do know the Bible says that people will get worse and worse. But during that time, we're going to see a great revival. And so I think that I think there is a reawakening. Among Asbury, started a revival, and then they had revivals among college campuses. And just the other day, Auburn University is not known as a Christian college, but they had a huge deal at their stadium, filled up their stadium during a praise and worship event, and then took a bunch of kids impromptu to some lake and had a bunch of baptisms. We're talking Auburn University. We're not talking about Auburn Christian University. We're talking about Auburn University, which, I had friends that went to Auburn, and I know it's not the most religious school in America. But I think there is a reawakening, and I think people are waking up, and not all. That's the thing. A lot of times, though, we have been taught that our young kids are going to hell. So I mean, they're not going to change. But that's not the case. I mean, I can tell you right now at our Bible school, I can see these young people that are more on fire from God than maybe even I am sometimes. I mean, they're they just love God, and I think that's what education, but also too, I think you're right, because 2-parent homes. It's a norm in America now to only have a single parent. I mean, that's pretty much. And the statistics during Father's Day, I actually reported all the statistics. Just not having a dad in the home, just creates all kinds of issues. And it's like something like 100% of girls that grow up without a dad in the home have weight problems, according to statistics.
That's crazy.
I don't know how that relates, but then obviously young men. I mean, I did youth ministry for a long time. And I had a number. I mean, single moms that would try, that talk to me about their, about their kids. I mean, they didn't know how to raise their kids. I mean, the amount of kids that don't even know who their parents are. Like I said, we have Oklahoma's largest daycare. So one of our students works in the daycare. So this summer, we have school age care, whatever. He worked in school age cares with school agers, and he says I have 20 students, and at least he goes half of them either don't live with their dad. He says I think there are 4 out of the 20 or 5 out of the 20 don't even know who their dad is. They've never met their dad.
That's crazy.
And so him being a male figure, I mean, they like would kind of attach themselves that he was like their first major male figure that they've been around that they could really talk to. And he says it's pretty, he's 20 years old or whatever, but he's like, man, they're not used to having a male figure in the home and this is at a Christian daycare. So,
Right.
no, but I will say our daycare, most people go to our daycare do not attend our church. But I think once again, there's morality thing. A lot of people, they feel safe for having their kid in our daycare because they don't feel they're going to get molested. They don't feel, all these kind of things. And so, I think that we're like 1,000 people, 1,000 kids in our daycare. So we're Oklahoma's
Wow.
the largest daycare. So but it's because morality. I mean, parents
Yep.
want, but parents have to spend time with their kids. Do you know the average American father in the year 2000 spent 1.5 minutes of quality time with their kid every day? Now, quality time means they're not on their computer, they're not reading the newspaper, they're not watching TV.
1.5 minutes.
1.5 minutes. The average American mom, 3 minutes a day. That was in the year 2000. That was year 2000. That means uninterrupted talking to your kid without a device. In
It's probably lower now. It's probably lower.
Yeah,
now.
it's probably lower. And so it's crazy.
I was gonna tell you my joke that I like to tell people that are.
All right, yeah.
Pastor Craig, what did Donald Trump and Jesus Christ have in common?
No, I have no clue.
They're both coming back.
Oh yeah, it's funny.
Well, Pastor Craig, I'm going to give you the chance to just give some final words to the audience. Whatever you want to say. Where can we find you?
All right. The way to find me, I'm on all the social media things. I guess it's called X now: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. Our website is rhema.org. That's our main website. Our school website is rbtc.org. If you want to check our school out, Pastors for Trump, check that out. And please, I mean, we need to register right now. That's the thing. And also, you should get. I want to encourage everyone to get involved in the political world because and if you don't, my grandfather taught me two things: we should pray for this country and we should vote. And if you don't vote, you shouldn't gripe. And that's the thing. There is a, people are saying, well, my vote doesn't count, I'm not going to vote or whatever. But you know what? If you don't vote, it doesn't count. Our YouTube channel is Rhema. We have Rhema USA YouTube channel. You can watch us on YouTube. I don't actually, I have a podcast as well, but it's a audio only. It's actually not on YouTube. Rhema podcast. Check it out. I have been terrible this summer. I haven't put up a thing in a while, but I'm going to get back now that school's in session. It's a little bit easier for me I teach school every day, so it's a little bit easier for my habits. In fact, I'm in my podcast studio right now. Actually, I'm in a sound booth. We have an ISO booth and we have a recording studio, so that's where I'm at right now. In the ISO booth. And so I'll get back. You can check them out. But YouTube or Rhema USA channel. My grandfather actually has a YouTube channel as well. It's Kenneth E. Hagin YouTube channel. You can check that out. He has all his teachings, or not all his teaching, but a lot of his teachings there, free of charge for you to check him out. He passed away 20 years ago, but he's still developing YouTube content courtesy of myself. Anyway, but I say myself, my employees. So I'm actually I'm not lazy. I work hard, but I need to get my podcast thing going on again. But once again, register to vote. That's something we need to do. We need to encourage people to register, and we have to vote. I mean, we need to come out and maybe that's something else. You realize the Democrats, have done really good job of, there are legal ballot harvesting. We should try to do those kind of things. We should try to do all the things that are available. But man, thank you for having me on your program. It's been a joy. And I love it. You're doing it in your car, so I think that's pretty awesome.
It's better sound than here. Plus, I'm by the beach, so this is what I had to do today. But Pastor Craig, thank you again for joining my channel, and make sure you follow him. Great guy. I love talking to you today, and hopefully we'll have you on again.
All right, man. God bless.
Right. God bless you.
Bye bye.
And God bless Trump.
Amen.